Welcome back, everyone, to the College Football 25 Teambuilder Dynasty with the Houma Bobcats. This right here is when stuff truly begins. In year one, we won our first 2 games, but then lost 10 in a row to close our first year in this dynasty. And because of that, I did fire our OC and DC, Russ Saunders and Adam Hamilton. So we have 2 spots open on this coaching staff, and we're gonna start off by trying to hire these new 2 staffers. When I was looking through the options at OC, nobody matched the spread scheme that I'm trying to run in the future of this dynasty. So we're going to have to find somebody that is just running either the multiple offense or the pro style offensive scheme. And the first guy here is RJ Turner. And because we could not hire somebody that did not match our scheme, I was instead trying to focus on somebody that had better coach prestige than we do. So our first offer is to RJ Turner. And then at DC, we do find a couple of guys that have the 3-3-5 defensive scheme. Now, DeMarco has more levels than Eric Loper does, but Loper has less interested schools, and he does not have a head coaching offer. So I figured, why not go after him, because he has C coaching prestige. He's already got a couple of coaching abilities unlocked in his tree, and so he was the first offer for us to make at the defensive coordinator position. That will take us into the early signings window in this offseason, guys. We start off with getting a signing from Chuck Madden, the new middle linebacker. We also get strong safety J.R. Lehan. We also brought in LaShawn Gray, Reggie Cole, Jason Gallimore, all guys who had already committed to us during the season. We also brought in 2-star defensive tackle Fanausa Odo and 1-star cornerback J.D. Maddox, as well as linebacker Esteban Rizzo, who's a 3-star prospect. So it's already like 7 or so signings for us this year, and we do end up hiring Eric Loper as the defensive coordinator, and I'm glad to have him as a level 18 coach. Will definitely help us out, as well as the Metro Atlanta pipeline, but we failed to bring in RJ Turner. Then I turn my focus to another high prestige guy like Anthony Varine, who had a couple of head coaching offers from Hawaii and Kent State and ODU. So we offer him, but he does not end up taking that job. And now we have an option to bring in the former UMass head coach, Stu Mack, who has architect, motivator, and tactician unlocked on his talent tree. And he has a couple of good offers, but he is the highest level coach. He has a lot of stuff unlocked already, so I figured, why not offer him the job at offensive coordinator, and he would end up taking that job with the Louisiana pipeline, so he's in our same state. Now we have 3 different coaching pipelines, which I think is perfect for getting better recruits, both in the transfer portal and in the preseason stuff for the high school recruits. In the college football playoff, it ends up being a Clemson versus Texas Tech national championship game, and in that game, Texas Tech would come out on top. They are the winners of 2024, the winners of year number 1. The Red Raiders finish on top, beating Clemson 38-27. Now we got a big bad update here in coach prestige. It goes down to D from C, which means that the risk of transfer for some players like Strickland is incredibly higher. And because these are deal breakers for some of these guys, we have no chance to persuade them. Literally none. So Strickland, Franklin, Scott McLawler, and Stephen Harper are all going to be leaving. So running back has become a pretty major need for us, and Strickland would eventually commit to Boston College as their number 2 running back on their roster. And we lose out on the other 3 players who end up transferring to other schools, so we got to replace our right tackle. And we start off by trying to hard sell Levante Caraway on the, I believe that was the Campus Lifestyle sell, because he's currently close to coming to Penn State, but we're trying to steal him away from the Nittany Lions. And we also scout George DeLuca, a 3-star receiver, because we lost Demetrius Williams, and we have to go after at least 1 or 2 good receivers to bring in as his replacement. And that will take us into the transfer portal. And all of a sudden, running back has become a pretty major need for us, because we still have Keontae Tyson, but I'm not sure he's going to be good enough to be the full-time starter. We need at least 2 good running backs on this team. So I figured why not go after some of the top 3-star options in the portal. We start off here with Stacey Sneed, who has this number 2 on his board as of right now. We also end up going after guys like Isaiah Jacobs and Michael Allen, 2 really strong running back options here in the portal. And then at receiver, we go after 3-star receiver Chuck Montgomery, who also has interest from Central Michigan and a couple other schools. And then at defensive tackle, we got to beef up this defensive line. We got to focus on this. So I figured why not go after the top interest player for us, which is Quinzavious Warren. And then a corner. Corner is a major need for this defense. You got Harrison and Ricky Johnson here, 2 really strong options that have interest in our school. But there were no kickers available and no athletes available in the portal either. At safety, still I think that we could use some better safeties to improve the secondary and just beef up the entire defense across the board. So I added Sidney Porter and Jonathan Hall to our target board as well. And Sneed, the running back, ends up having 90 speed, 95 acceleration, good agility, good COD, and I figured why not offer him a scholarship here soon. We also scout Isaiah Jacobs, who is a power back similar to Strickland, who fought through and broke a lot of tackles this past year. I figured that we could go after a guy like him to bring in 2 different kinds of running backs, because Tyson is more of an elusive back. And then Michael Allen is another elusive option with 93 speed, way higher than Jacobs, who is like 88 speed or 84 speed. And we're going to offer him a scholarship too. We'll also add the action to DM the player and see if that gets us further up his board. With George DeLuca, I figured that we still got to go after him despite no other schools offering scholarships and us not being in his top 10 currently. But for Montgomery, we are in his top 8, and he's got some solid route running skills as a route running archetype. We'll offer him a scholarship here as well. And we'll also add the action to DM him too. For Quinzavious Warren, he has 95 strength without the player updates or the player progression period. So that's a pretty good starting place for a run-stopping guy that needs to shed his blocks and power through linemen. I figured why not offer him a scholarship. There's also Harrison and Ricky Johnson here at corner. Harrison has less than 90 speed, but solid man coverage. Zone coverage, not really in his top 10 attributes, but we'll offer him anyways. And so we can just bring in some better corners across the board. We'll offer a couple of actions here to fill up those hours. And for Ricky Johnson, he's more of a zone coverage guy, but man is in his top 10 attributes. He's also got the same speed as Harrison does. We'll offer an action for him, plus a scholarship. And for him, I wanted to first go after DM the player and see if that would get us further up his board. And then back at safety, we're going to pitch and hard sell Frazier with the clutch option to fill up those motivations. And we'll also try and fill the hours with him by DMing the player. We end up being top 2 behind Central Michigan for Chuck Montgomery, and I figured why not try and get us further above them and try and send the house by removing DM the player and adding the send the house action, just to make sure that we can get at least one good receiver on this team, aside from Javian Foreman getting a big boost to player progression. Kennesaw State is targeting Harrison here, and they have the higher influence over us right now. So odds are we can't get one of these guys. And now we got 3 schools over us for Ricky Johnson. So we're going to also send the house on him too. For Sidney Porter, we're top 5 in interest. He's got 80 play rec, 85 speed, solid play rec and stuff. I figured that he was a solid option for us to replace Nako Solomon as the starting free safety. And then with Frank Bad News, I'm just trying to secure that early commitment from him. Same goes for Shakir Pounds, another 3-star linebacker, just like Esteban Rizzo is. Just trying to bring in good future players for us, because I do feel like some of these guys probably will not get playing time. They actually might redshirt for this first year when they're on the roster. But for Isaiah Jacobs, if we could bring him and Quinzavious Warren, and that would really give a big boost to both sides of the football. And we do get commitments from Shakir Pounds, the 3-star linebacker out of Alabama. That's a big boost to the future of this defense. And we also lose the commitment for Levante Caraway, who ends up committing to Temple. So that's one tackle off the board. And Frank Bad News does commit after we send the house his way. We finally have our center of the future. Will he start? I'm not so sure. We also get Devin Frazier at strong safety, so a big boost to our secondary, I think, in the future. Then Quinzavious Warren, I think, will be a immediate starter for this offense. And then we also went after a quarterback, Joshua Wood, in the transfer portal. He does commit to our school, so that is 4 big commitments here in this 1 week. We do lose out, though, on 3 defensive ends, all of which end up committing to Virginia Tech. We also lose Harrison out to Kennesaw State, so he's gone. And we're locked out of Jonathan Hall as he signed with Texas State. We do end up getting George DeLuca, though, as a 3-star receiver out of high school. That's pretty big for us. So we end up having Chuck Madden, Frank Bad News, J.R. Lehan, Tevin Hippenhammer, LaShawn Gray, Reggie Cole, Gallimore, Soto, J.D. Maddox, Devin Frazier, Esteban Rizzo, Dennis Oman, Shakir Pound. So that's 3 3-star linebackers, plus George DeLuca. Isaiah Jacobs ends up signing with us. So does Quinzavious Warren, and Sidney Porter, and Joshua Wood. So that is a pretty good draft class, or a pretty good recruiting class right there, which gives us the 60th overall rank in the national rankings, and we get the #1 Sun Belt Conference recruiting class this year with 16 3-stars, 1 2-star, and 1 1-star. But we also get 2 additional guys after schools that they committed to did not offer scholarships. That includes the 3-star wideout Chuck Montgomery and the 3-star corner Ricky Johnson. Both guys have the impact dev trait, and they will be starting players for us in year number 2. This team looks a lot different after year number 1 because we lost players to graduation or players to the transfer portal. And now we have a new starting quarterback with Joshua Wood. And I feel like he's going to have to be our starter because DePaul is still like a 4 overall, lower than he is. He's got pretty good accuracies, 91 throw power. He'll probably be healthy for the most part, but he's not that elusive. He won't really scramble outside the pocket that much. And I do think that David DePaul could give him a run for his money as the starter because he can get out to the pocket and can make throws against pressure and on the run. Now, what about Jason Gallimore? He's got the star depth trait, the second highest depth trait that you can have in this game. So that is really good for his future. He will most likely be redshirt this year to save 1 more year for his college eligibility. So he will probably start next year because Wood is a redshirt senior, I believe, and DePaul is also a senior. So Gallimore is the future starter, but he has a lot of things to work on, I think. But still glad to have him for the future of this team. I think the best move we made was to bring in Isaiah Jacobs, who ends up being a higher overall and more abilities unlocked than Strickland had. So he's probably going to be better, I think, if we go with the run game to kind of start the season. And behind him, we've got Keontae Tyson, who's also got the star depth trait. Despite the playing time being low for him, he will still be out there pretty much because he's got way higher speed than Jacobs does. It's 91 for him and 84 for Isaiah Jacobs. And then at receiver, another star depth trait player, Javian Foreman, takes over Demetrius Williamson's spot as the #1 wideout. Solid release, good spec catch. He's very elusive. He's just very good across the board. And he will be backed up by Trevor Millam, LJ Young Jr., TJ Peaks, Trayon Bell, and Chuck Montgomery, while Scooter Page pretty much got no progression this year. And now for the offensive line. At left tackle, you got Tariq Williams. You got Max McClure at left guard, who's up to like a 78. Our center is going to be Keon Robertson III. And behind him, you will have Frank Bad News. But I think I also plan to redshirt him because, you know, he's just not going to play that much. And I think it makes sense to save 1 year of eligibility because he has a lot of work to do for pass blocking and for footwork. And then at right guard, you got DeMarcus Persons up to a 76 or a 77 overall. And I do believe that Reggie Cole, the freshman, will start at right tackle because he is our second highest tackle overall and our highest rated right tackle. He's got some good strength. but his blocking skills definitely leave a lot to be desired as a freshman, so he's got work to do, but I guess he'll get some playing time in year number 1 for him. We got Joshua Townsend at left end. We got John Decker IV and Kobe Garland back at right end. At defensive tackle, we got Deshaun Weeks returning as a senior, and we did bring in Quinzavious Warren, who will get the starting nod. He's got normal dev, but he does fit our scheme perfectly because of that strong strength and the huge toughness and hit power. He's got some run stopping and power moves to his game, so he can really do it all, I think, for us. He'll be a big part of this defensive front four. We also got Taj Coles returning as a senior. Esteban Rizzo is the third string left outside linebacker with only normal dev, but at 70 overall, not sure if I want to redshirt him or get him some playing time as the number 2 linebacker. We'll see about him. And then Bubba Van Claiborne, he returns in his final year to be the Chase Freeman replacement as the leader of this defense. At a 78 overall, he's got good power, good IQ, good run stopping. He's fast at 87 speed, and he's backed up by Chuck Maynard, who I think will actually get some playing time despite being the 3rd or 4th linebacker on this depth chart. I expect him to not be a redshirt freshman this year. Then we got a guy that we have not really focused on at all this past year, Jordan Underwood, who's got really good overall pass rush skills. Run stopping is not that great, but he does have pretty even finesse power moves. He will be a starter at linebacker for us. In the secondary, we've got number 1 cornerback Dakota Mills at a 74/77 overall. These are all going up because of some coaching adjustments I made with the coach points we got in the offseason. I'll go over those once we finish this roster overhaul. But he's got some really good zone coverage at like 87. And I think that Noah Collins and Terrell Pace will probably play behind him, but I do plan to probably start Ricky Johnson as the number 3 corner over Pace. Pace will get some playing time, but he just has really low speed. At free safety, you got Sidney Porter, who overtakes Nako Solomon as the starter, and he's for sure more of like a run support safety, less of a pass coverage guy, because his pass coverage skills are the lowest spot in his entire profile. And then at strong safety, we've got 3 different guys that could win the starting job. I think I prefer Quincy Blue as the starter, but 2 of our freshman safeties like Devin Frazier and Lehan will definitely probably get some playing time. At least one of them will, and the other will probably be getting a red shirt this year. Not really sure at this point who deserves it, but Quincy Blue played for us last year. He is a junior. I feel like we've got to start him and redshirt one of those freshman players. So that's the goal here at strong safety. And now we got the coach progression, talking about how we spent our 180 coaching points. My goal here was to focus on tactician for the most part, mainly because what this does is it prepares your guys for game day. You can spend all these points and just get boosts to different attributes across the board. And I wanted to really focus on the defense here. So I did spend points across the board, but I did load up the defense, especially for defensive backs, defensive line, the safeties, the linebackers, and the defensive line, because you can cross-train players and you can fill up and get boosts to pass and run block, play rec, block shed, finesse move, all of the above. So I figured, why not spend most of our points on that? And then I spent the rest of those on recruiting, because I figured if we're going to make this team better, we got to get more 4-star recruits and more 3-star recruits next year in preparation for the future of this team. And so using these points will get us more hours available to spend in terms of certain actions, and also starting interest from certain players, which means that better players will likely have more interest in our school as we fill up these recruiting attributes. So that's what I spent the rest of these points on, but that was a lot of points for us to spend. It was hard to spend all of those. We're close to filling up both of those categories. Now, we're going to have 22 seniors next year, so we're going to have to get a lot more recruits this year because we're probably going to have guys transfer. I doubt that we can boost our coaching prestige by a lot, and most guys have that as a deal breaker. So offensive line will be definitely a big need for us once again, and so will corners and so will linebackers as the main focus on either side of the ball. We have, like, I want to say 3 senior corners on this team, and so that's going to be a big need for us once again. We didn't really do a good job this time around, but I think if we focus on it even more this year, we'll do a better job. And now we got to go into the preseason recruiting. I already added 35 players to our draft, or not to our draft board, to our recruiting board, and I found plenty of gems, starting with Paul Phoenix right here, a 3-star right guard, more of a power guy with good pass and run block power, 92 strength and 66 speed. I think he's worth offering a scholarship to, so he already got one. Then we got the gem 3-star right tackle, Melvin McCoud, who is more of a finesse guy, 75 run block finesse, 84 strength, 70 speed, pretty solid agility starting out. And then we have an athlete receiver here, Juan Mallory, also a gem. I wanted to focus on gems early on to get the best dev traits possible. He's got solid spec, catching traffic, so we offered him a scholarship. The same goes for zone corner Paul Nix, another gem with 88 speed, 80 zone coverage. 70 man is a pretty good starting place for a guy that's mainly a zone archetype too, so happy with that find. Then we find a defensive tackle, Colin Murphy, another 3-star gem, 89 strength, 64 speed, 77 tackle. Block shed kind of low for a run stopper, but I figured why not go after a guy that has a good depth chart, because he probably won't even get playing time in his freshman season. Then we got corner Donnie Gesser, a 3-star gem as well, 92 speed, just below 80 man coverage, good acceleration, awareness needs work for sure. And then we got Cole Kane, a guy at right guard with really already 4 abilities showing up here and really solid finesse skills. And we're going to try to climb up his board into his top 10 hopefully soon. And then I found right guard 3-star gem Antoine Timms, 75 pass block finesse, 78 pass block power, more of a pass protecting tendency archetype. And he seems pretty solid overall, so I offered him a scholarship. And we end up offering, I think, 14 in total, with the last guy being this defensive end, Keelan Byard, who has 75 power moves, 81 strength. He's not really a gem, but he's a 3-star guy, and he's already got 2 mental abilities plus 1 physical one, so I like that a lot. That takes us to our starting lineups going into this year. This is what the offense looks like. We've got Joshua Wood as the starting quarterback, Isaiah Jacobs as the tailback, with our receivers being Javion Foreman, Tanner McMillan, and Chuck Montgomery. Then on the offensive line, we've got Tariq Williams at left tackle, McClure at left guard, Keon Robertson as the center, DeMarcus Perkins as the right guard, Reggie Cole at right tackle, and Miles Springer at tight end. The interior definitely way better than our tackles, so we're going to try and run the ball a whole lot this year, more than last year, hopefully, if we can just not be down in these games early on. Now for our starting defense, we got Sidney Porter and Quincy Blue as our starting safeties. We got Dakota Mills, Noah Collins, and Ricky Johnson as the starting cornerbacks. On the defensive line, we've got Joshua Townsend, Deshaun Weeks, and Quinzavius Warren on those front 3. And then at linebacker, we've got Taj Coles, Bubba Van Claiborne, and Jordan Underwood to round out the starting defense in this new 3-3-5 defensive scheme. Our goal is the same this year. Our goal is to win 4 games, and if we do that or do better, then we will increase our coach prestige over D+, hopefully. We open the year against UAB and then face Arkansas before a rematch against Iowa State from that high-scoring affair that we had last year, which was by far Tyler Olson's best performance, but he's gone now. We close non-conference play against FCS Southeast, and we start conference play against Old Dominion, a rematch of that last game of the season. We face Marshall for the first time right afterwards, and then we face a lot of teams that we faced last year: Troy, UL Monroe, Texas State, Southern Miss, South Alabama, and Louisiana. So we already lost all those games to those teams last year. We're going to try and get one back this year and play a whole lot better in conference play after going 0-for-8 last season. So that is it for this offseason, guys. What do you guys think? The roster is up to a 75 overall, offense up to a 75, defense to a 76, and we get all these attribute boost thanks to the coaching progression points that we use on Tactician. What do you guys expect this year? Do you expect us to win more than 2 games and break this 10-game losing streak? I think we can do it. That'll do it here for me, guys. I will see you guys next time. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, and get ready for year 2, the official start of this dynasty. I'll see you there.